So, back to the topic. Grow your brain. How do we grow our brain?
Knowledge.
Knowledge. Cool. How do we shrink our brain? Drugs. So basically, you want to know in the end, you want to have some practical knowledge, right? Is your brain growing or shrinking? I remember learning in school, this is probably when they were trying to scare us away from alcohol, that if you had a glass of wine or beer, you'd lose brain cells, they'd die.
No.
Yes.
No.
And you only had 1,000 brain cells, I'm averaging. And every time you had a drink, you would lose one.
At 1,000.
And then 999, and then 998, so you had to start counting. Right? And that was actually the up-to-date science until about 5-10 years ago. Okay, until they found that we could actually grow our brains. And now a lot of the studies that they did this in, and I forgot my juggling balls and I apologize. Okay, when I usually did this talk, I did it in a church group with old seniors, and they hated the juggling part of it. I used to make them all learn how to juggle. But it was very memorable. They all remembered it. So, I've got this here. So, most of the brain science studies on this growing or shrinking is done with juggling. Why? Coordination. Hand-eye coordination. Okay? So, do you think there were 20-year-olds that they did this on? No. They were in their 70s, and they taught them how to juggle. And it was easy? No. It was hard. So they taught them how to juggle. They measured their brains first with MRIs and functional MRIs. They taught them how to juggle and made them practice, or had them practice, and then checked them again at the end. And their brains grew. Not just in function, how it's able to think, but in their ability, the actual size of the brain grew.
How many times a day?
That's just the concept. You're a detailed person, aren't you? So if anybody's detail-oriented, if you are curious to learn more, give me your email, connect to me in the office, and I can get you this stuff. But until then, you get the concepts, because I don't memorize those numbers. But just juggling, okay? So learning how to juggle and juggling, that's what they did the studies, and they showed that the brain can grow. And who's heard of gray matter and white matter? We'll get some technical anatomically now. Which one is the nerve pathways? Gray or white? White. Okay, so the white parts of the brain. If you ever look at a picture of the brain that looks like this, okay, I have it on the iPad too. You can cut open the brain and look on the iPad without actually a human body. It's all computerized. The white parts is actually just the pathways. The gray part, the gray matter, is actually the part where it's the processing's happening. Okay, so if you look on that functional MRI, or the MRI pictures where you see all the colors happening, most of that would be happening in the gray matter, and then the signals will be transferring to different parts of the body through the white. Okay, it's not necessary to know for this, but it's curious. It's cool. Maybe you'll go look it up in the picture when you're home. In the Google anatomy book. So, what do you think? So knowing that we can grow our brain. So is my brain growing or shrinking? What can I do to help grow my brain? Someone mentioned Ritalin is something that shrinking. I think he said Ritalin. I couldn't hear you, sorry. Marijuana. So another drug, so chemical things. What other things can shrink the brain? Top of your head, go ahead.
I'm just guessing. Is prescription drugs one of them?
Prescription drugs, maybe. Inflammation, what else? Keep throwing things out.
Electrolytes.
Not enough fat, electrolytes,
Inactive. Stress.
Negative thinking.
negative thinking,
Stress.
stress, stimulus,
Insomnia.
trauma. So we hit on the main topics. Okay, I was waiting for the third one. Inactivity. There we go. I'll go back to the other side. So, 3 general topics, okay? This is just an overview. Okay, I want you to grasp the concept and then apply it to your life so that you are not shrinking your brain. So let's start with the first one here, physical impact on the brain. Someone mentioned trauma. Thank you. Who here has hit their head before? How long does it take to heal? A long time, and sometimes you don't recover, unfortunately. Right? So, if I've got my little man here, step one. What's rule number one with the brain when you're trying to grow your brain and have a good, long, productive life?
Protect it.
Don't hit your head. Okay, wear a helmet if you may hit your head, or avoid it altogether. So someone likes hockey back here, and there's some likes hockey. So helmet on the outside. Don't hit your head. Your body tried to protect that brain. It completely enclosed it in bone. Okay, it only has one exit for the nerve to come out, the spinal cord to come out. Everywhere else is protected, unless you hit your head. Okay, so rule one, don't hit your head. Okay? So there's one physical aspect, and let's skip to the next. We'll go one at a time. What about a chemical one? Someone mentioned prescription drugs. There is a purpose to prescription drugs. Usually your body is run into such a health problem that you run into prescription drugs. Okay? Unfortunately, there's side effects, and a lot of them do impact the brain as well. So I'm not an expert at prescription drugs, but they can be good and bad. Okay, so yes, they can impact the brain directly or indirectly too. Someone mentioned marijuana, sort of like a street drug type of thing. Brain altering, it'll impact the brain as well. And a lot of times people will say, well, marijuana is natural. And you say, well, so is poison ivy. Right? So poison ivy, that's natural too. You don't want to play around with things that are impacting your brain. Now let's skip next to the next one, emotional. Someone did mention negative thinking. I think it was you. Stress and negative thinking. So when you are having negative thinking, why would your brain shrink? Why? We were saying that to you before. Why, right? The question, why?
You are putting yourself under stress all the time.
Your body is under stress all the time. If you be put under stress all the time, decreased oxygen maybe. Cortisol. So realize that your body your brain is the adaptation machine for your body. It creates adaptations in your surroundings, your events. If you are in a negative event, or if you are in a negative environment, it reacts in one way, and if you're in a positive, safe environment, it reacts another way. They usually describe this as fight, flight, and relaxation. The tiger, have you guys heard it described that way before? Have you heard the words sympathetic and parasympathetic? And remember, if you're just curious, that's fine in the end. Just learn more and just ask me to learn more. So we'll go with that, okay? There's two general states that nervous system or brain stays in. One is parasympathetic and one is sympathetic. Okay, long words. One is when you're fighting and stressed, and one is when you're relaxed and healing. Your brain is able to perceive which one you are in depending on your surroundings. When they say humans are the only ones that can do this, maybe animals can too, but you can't ask them. So, you've got sympathetic with an S and parasympathetic with a P. When you are stressed, your body releases hormones. The brain tells the body to release hormones, which are good for that stressed time, but only in short bursts. They say it's designed or evolved or created to deal with a tiger. So if something jumps out of the bushes and scares you, you react stressed, and you fight it or you run, and then it's a short burst thing. But nowadays, we don't have tigers chasing us. We have attacks, we have bills, we have family problems that build up over time. So the stress doesn't stay short times, it stays for a long time. Now when you're in a stress state and you have cortisol going through your body and you have all that negative thinking on you, staying in this stressed state is a bad thing for your body and your brain. It maybe, I don't know for sure, but it may not get enough oxygen. I'm not sure on that one. But it definitely negatively impacts its ability to adapt, heal, and grow. Cool, eh?